Hi everybody, it's Audrey finally back. I know I've been a little MIA lately, but I am a high school teacher and school started the past couple weeks, so I have been super busy. So I have a ton of videos coming up for you because still have been scrapping, I just haven't made a lot of videos. Today I have a page to share with you with my September Clique Kits kit, and I'm going to start by showing you this cut file. And it is called, well, actually, I'm not even sure if it has a specific name. It's just part of the September 17 cuts. So you could obviously just cut this out of a piece of background paper and kind of have the leaves and the branches as the negative spaces, but I actually wanted to use the leaves as little kind of die cuts, so cut out the individual leaf shapes. So I had to kind of pick through the things I wanted here, because I didn't want to waste a piece of paper and cut all of these shapes. So I am just going to cut, a few of the leaves here. So I'm kind of rearranging things, and I also want to use these couple pine branches. So I kind of group the ones I want together, and I'm copying and pasting them into a blank document. I know this is going super fast, but I spent a while doing this, so I didn't want to take up too much time. So those are cutting on my machine, and while those are cutting, I am going to play around with this gorgeous tree ring cutout paper. And you can see it has like a gold foil. It was really big, and it's very gorgeous. It has a lot of shine. I did not want to use the whole thing. I thought it was a little overpowering as a whole piece. So I kind of thought about having it just come off the side of the paper, but then I just decided to make it, different and just come out one of the corners. So I thought, and I was hoping, that the gold foil on this would kind of act like a resist, where I could add some color to the background, which is white, which is just kind of like plain paper, and that, I could color it a little bit and add some color. I thought, just the gold on the white cardstock that I'm going to use was kind of plain, so if I could make this a little bit darker, and it would also make my photo stand out a little bit more if I could make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to just use a whole bunch of different brown mists I have here, and look at how that looks. That's so awesome. I love it. So I just went through some brown mists and kind of wiping it off with the paper towel, and it soaks into the white background on this, and the gold foil still pops through. So that is so pretty. Love it. And I hope that I can use that remaining piece for another page. So I'm going to splatter some droplets here. The droplets don't really splatter well on the gold foil paper because, again, it kind of wipes right off the gold. So, okay, going to start layering my photo. I did not want to have a busy pattern behind this photo. Well, too busy of a pattern. I needed a little bit of border around it, so I kind of, there's a piece of paper that kind of has like a cloud design on it, and I use that kind of as a mat. And then I liked this print, and I actually considered using the print, I don't know if you saw me there for a second, as the background. So using that whole print as the background, but it was just way too busy. So I'm just going to use little snippets of this, and I didn't want to cover up the tree ring too much because it's so beautiful. So I'm just going to add really tiny, subtle edges of this pattern paper, but it's such a pretty print, and the colors are gorgeous too. So over here in the corner, I'm trying to play with the idea of maybe adding just a little hint of another tree ring down in the corner there, but I decided to go against that. Okay, so here are the things I've cut out, and you can see I've chosen the different pattern papers here. This pattern paper that I'm pulling off right now is the print of it looks like a road and going into like a blue sky, and but it had such a pretty like peachy orange color. I thought it'd be great for cutting out leaves, so I'm glad I picked that because I like that color. I wish, in retrospect, I went back and took those peachy colored leaves and maybe added a little bit of like an orange gelato to them. I mean, not a super bright orange, but just something to make them a little bit more orange, because they do kind of blend in with the tree ring pattern paper. So, but it's still pretty. I do like the subtle peach, and it actually really looks like the color of leaves. I love the negative of the veins in these leaves, so cool, and they came off and are still stuck to my mat, so I might use them, or try to use them in a different way on a page. So I'm going to just start clustering this stuff around, and I really wasn't sure how this ring thing was going to work out, but as I started putting these leaves on, I'm like, oh yeah, I really like this. And like I had mentioned, going through with the kind of peachy leaves there to color them, I thought that maybe the plaid pattern of the leaves that I used was a little bit too busy, and that maybe I would have to color those leaves with a little bit more red, gelato or something. But I'm going to leave the plaid as it is because I think it adds to the feel of the page, and you can still see the leaf shape pretty well, and the veins cut out, so I like that. I have the little acrylic white hello word on the photo. There's a good little negative space there in my photo, empty space rather, for me to put that. And I really like these clusters. So I added in the 2 other tree ring die cuts that came out of the die cut pack. By the way, I had already gone through the die cuts and picked out ones that I thought I would use on my page, and I did not show you that because I forgot to hit record. So I just picked out a couple, the tree rings being one of them. But those tiny tree ring die cuts had a white border around them. And I actually tried to use them on my last page I made with this kit, but I had to cut the white border off. And I do the same thing here with this acorn because the white borders on these just drive me crazy. I don't want them to be white, and I know it's such a nitpicky thing, but when you have a colored piece of paper that you're putting these die cuts on and they have a white border, it just looks so, I don't know, disassociated with the background and just really pops off too much. So, okay, that's my little, I'm going to get off my soapbox now about talking about, white outlines on die cuts. How lucky I am that that's something, that's one of my only worries. Anyway, all right, back to this page. So I'm going to start gluing some things down. And I had this all laid out. I love the layout of this. I love the clusters. I love how it flows diagonally down the page. I love the colors. But I just thought the background was a little bit too plain. So I, when I was putting on some of the other die cuts there to see what I liked, there's a little tag on there that says "Go outside and play," and it has some of the blue, kind of the sky blue in it. And I really liked the blue, but I didn't want to cut blue leaves, and I didn't really want to add. Wasn't sure if I was going to use that tag. So I thought one way I could bring in some blue was to kind of do a really, really light blue watercolor wash on my background. And I've got to say, as you watch me paint it here with my watercolors, you can definitely see it. And I know in the final photo I have of my layout, it's very difficult to see. I think because I had to adjust the brightness so it kind of washes out the background more. But the sky blue definitely adds, some interest to the background. So it wasn't so plain. So I just kind of mixed some blue and a little bit of green, and I'm really watering this down, and just going through with my watercolor brush and adding some strokes of light blue. And it's really, really pretty. Very subtle, but just what I wanted. And then I will go through here and add a few splatters with the watercolor as well. So just couple more dark blue streaks, and then I'll just take some of this watercolor and splatter it on. I was afraid that I was going to go too dark with it, and I didn't want to do that, so I kind of dabbed some off. And there's my splatters. Okay, like that. All right, so that dried a little bit, and then I went through and I stitched just with a straight stitch around the border, about, 1/8 of an inch around the edge. It's kind of a coral color thread, it's hard to see. And then I taped it down because it was still kind of warping from the watercolors, so the wet watercolors were making it warp a little bit. So I taped my layouts down, and I leave them there like overnight, and they tend to dry a lot flatter that way when I tape them down. And you can use regular Scotch tape or painter's tape for that. So I had already assembled my photo cluster with the photo mats on there, and I'm going to add my foam adhesive. Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I struggle with this craft foam because I have yet to find a good way to secure it down. My tape runner doesn't really want to stick to this foam very well. Liquid glue, I think, gets soaked into it, and it also doesn't stick very well. I've tried other glue dots and stuff, but I tried this Easy Tear tape from Thermoweb, and that actually worked pretty good. So I might start having to use this Easy Tear tape for when I use foam on the photos. And by doing that, it kind of allowed me to create these like levels that I could put these leaves here. So I'm kind of putting some leaves completely under the photo, some on top of the next mat, and I don't know if I put anything on top of the second mat, but I like doing that because you can create really interesting layers that way, by tucking things in between the different levels of your mats or right to the background. Of course, this is not exactly how I had it arranged to begin with, and that irks me sometimes, but I should just go back to my video or take a photo or something and look at it while I'm, redoing the page, but it comes out fine. It's totally fine. I like the way that I arranged it this time too. There you can see how that peachy color kind of blends in a little bit with the very close in shade to the tree rings. So again, I wish I had made those a little bit more orange. Okay, so this little circle that says take a hike that I have over the photo, it's very appropriate for my photo because we were on a hike. Every fall we go to the Adirondacks, every Columbus Day weekend pretty much, and we rent a different cabin all over different parts of the Adirondacks every year. And we went on this really fun hike up a mountain called Baker Mountain, and there's this really cool tree, and the kids loved it, and they could crawl underneath it, and the roots were just hanging over them, and it was huge, and it was really awesome. But, so the tag, take a hike, was appropriate, but it was just kind of big, and I didn't know if I liked it there. It kind of covered up some of my photo that I liked. I mean, you can still see the leaves and stuff in the foreground, so I wasn't really sure. So I have not secured it down yet because I'm not positive I want to keep it there. So finally, after playing around, I thought maybe to make it pop out a little bit more, I will add a little blue outline to it. So I just took it and glued it to a piece of pattern paper that had a blue background, and I like that a little bit better. And the sky in my photo itself has a slight blue tint to it, so I think that helps pick up on the blue that I used with the watercolor background, and then the blue that I used around the take a hike die cut. I definitely wanted to use some of these phrase stickers, and I was going to stick with the color combo I had, but I thought that the kind of moss green was really pretty, and I didn't have any other moss green on there, but it brought in a little bit of brightness, and so I'm going to put 3 places where I have the moss green. So I have the phrase up in the top left, and I'm putting one here. It says discover, and I have this little tiny green heart, so that kind of balances that color there. I was thinking about what I wanted to do for a title, and I was considering cutting out the word roots with that dark blue paper there, but then I do love these Freckle Fawn alphas, and it took me forever to find the O's because the O's on this sheet are not near. They don't go in ABC order. The O's were up by the E's, so it was really tricky, and finally I found them. But, it's not, the title obviously isn't a huge part of this page. It's not the element that stands out the most, but, so I kind of like it subtle there, down in the bottom. And then I considered putting it up on top of the tree ring, but I just thought it would kind of get washed away in there. So there it is, and that's where it's staying. To help kind of bring that blue in a little bit more, I put a label sticker up there, which I will put the date on. I am drawing journaling lines with a white pen. I journaled, added the date, and that's it. So there's the finished page. And I'm really happy with how this came out. I love the beautiful fall colors. Forgot to mention the little acorn I popped up there. Super cute. And I love this cut file. These leaves are absolutely gorgeous. Have so much detail. Look at them. So pretty. You could actually put them on top of another piece of pattern paper and have the veins be a different color too. That would be cool. Anyway, thanks so much for stopping by today. Be sure to check out all the other ladies' pages today for our Clique Kits Pep Rally share. Have a great day. Stay scrappy, friends.